Hey, beautiful people, how are you all doing today? Let us talk about Canada today, and I want you to pay attention to this video because most people do not actually understand these things when I mention them, right? This is for those of you who want to study in Canada. Now, if you want to study in Europe, come 2027, February or September, check my other channels, right? You know my main channel, Milton Fonkwa. Go there and check. Then you subscribe so that you can keep up with updates because a lot of things are changing. Now, like I said, this is for people, those of us who want to move to Canada. There is something that most people do not know. First thing first, a lot have changed in Canada, and some students are actually leaving Canada now. Now, why are they leaving Canada? This is the reason. You know, some people travel to Canada with no knowledge, with knowledge from agents, and at the end of the day, Canada switched their rules. Now, one of the rules they have switched is that there are specific people they are looking for in their country. And who are these people? French speakers, people in trade courses, or people who did trade things related to trade, people who did agriculture, people who are into healthcare, people who are into STEM. STEM is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. These are the people, most of the people that Canada is looking for. Now, for people, most of them who are leaving Canada now, these are the group. Most of them went to Canada. They just applied for courses and they didn't put these things I just mentioned to you into consideration. Then when they went in, they studied, and when it was time for them to apply for post-graduation work permit, because that's the first step you need to take after you finish your school. You need to get post-graduation work permit. Then after that, you apply for PR. Then after that, you apply for citizenship. But these pathways, we do not have them in the Netherlands, okay? I'm going to explain to you detailedly so that you actually understand. Now, so the pathways that we have over here is you study for 1 year or 2 years, irrespective of how long your program is. If your program is 1 year or 2 years, they count, okay? For your citizenship, we do not have PR here. You do not really need PR here, right? So the basic requirements here to get a passport is 5 years of stay. You learn the language, you stay away from crime. Then after that, you apply for citizenship. So in Canada, it's not like that. You first of all need to go through a post-graduation work permit, which for us, we call it orientation year visa. Then after that, you have a duration, I think it's 3 years or sometimes 4 years, you can apply for citizenship. But in the Netherlands, we do not have, after PGWP, which for us is orientation year, just go from orientation year to citizenship. I hope you understand the differences. Now, let me explain something. So, like I was explaining, since most of these people went to Canada through these courses, now Canada have tightened their immigration. And you know, for you to apply for PR, which is permanent residency, you need to go through the express entry route or the Canadian experience class, right? Now, people who are either going through Canadian experience class, if they look at their scores now, because there is a way Canada grade people, right? They look at what they want, then they will now bring in people who are qualified in that particular field. Then they will now give them opportunities to apply. Recently, I saw a communique that over 12,000 Canadian students have been asked to leave Canada. And now, why were they asked to leave Canada? First, this is the first problem. Most people do not check IRCC, which is the Canadian immigration. Now, if you check very well, you will see that on IRCC, today is June 20th. July 20th. I think around June 20th, IRCC made some changes to their requirements for you to get post-graduation work permit, right? Now, most of these people who traveled last 2 years, they are in foreign colleges. And what are the requirements? You know, in Canada, they have post-secondary education, right? Post-secondary include community colleges and all of those higher education institutions. And for you to actually study in post-secondary, you need to have finished high school, right? Now, not all these colleges in Canada are actually eligible to give post-graduation work permit. I remember doing this video some time ago. But some people don't understand, right? Some people even end up going into colleges that do not have DLI, the designated learning institution. But studying in a designated learning institution alone does not really guarantee your safety of staying in Canada after you finish the program, because some of them, those designated learning institutions, they are not approved to give PGWP, not to talk of PR. Some of them, their courses are not approved by the Canadian authorities to give PGWP, not to talk of PR. Now, so what is the tendency? If you do not do your research to actually know what you are going to, or which school you are applying to, which one can actually give you post-graduation work permit, which one can permit you go through post-graduation to PR, to citizenship, you will not know. And all of this is on IRCC. So why these changes were made, some people had already engaged in other universities. And now, this is the problem. The agents that are working for you to ensure that you move to Canada, they do not tell you these things. And most of them, they apply to these colleges because they are quite easy to get admission, right? Some of them are cheaper, some of them are easy to get admissions. And at the end of the day, you are the one to face the consequences, because when you finish your studies after paying thousands of dollars, you will notice that that program you were studying is not eligible and cannot give you PGWP. For example, this group of people were asked to leave Canada recently. Almost 9,000 of them applied to colleges and programs that were not eligible. And this is another problem that came from Canada. You know, since these colleges that the Canadian government said they are not eligible to apply for PGWP, or they are not qualified, right? Their courses are not up to standard to do that. They didn't give them permits. Now, most of those colleges had to switch and cooperate with other colleges that are eligible to give those permits. Now, their reason for doing that is what? They are running because they cannot give it. They want to now cooperate with these other colleges so that when you finish your certificate, right, your certificate will either come from these other people or from them. But most of the time, it comes from them. Do you understand? Oh, even if it comes from these people that are eligible, your own college will still want to give you the certificate, but you will study in there. So you have to be careful. Now, let me explain a common scenario. In Bongo, right, we have polytechnics, we have higher institutes that do not qualify to give degrees. Like some of these colleges, they call them higher institutes of this and this. They are in Cameroon, many of them. When you study there for 2 years, they only do HND. They cannot give degree. But they have partnership with state universities. So once you finish your degree there, you finish your HND in that higher institute, you can now do degree. But at the end of the day, they are not the one giving you degree. Your degree comes from the partner university. So this is the same thing. It works for us in Bongo, but in Canada, it doesn't work that way. So you have to be careful. So this is the reason most of these people shifted, and the students now follow this same path. And now, since the Canadian government had to find out, I don't know how they found out. Well, it's the same thing. It's a developed country, so they can find out anything. It's the same thing in the Netherlands. If you do fishy things, they will catch you, right? So they have now found out and started sorting out things, and they noticed that thousands of students did the same thing. Now, when you apply for PGWP, they immediately reject it and give you time to leave the country because you were not even supposed to study. What is my final take on this? My final take is this. Since Canada is fluctuating now, they are moving from A to B, and first, they have dropped student visas application to 30-35%. Now, if you're applying from countries like Cameroon, Ghana, or Nigeria, for your chances of getting a visa is just because before you even apply, you are working on 30 or 35%. Imagine you already know that your chances is only 30 or 35% out of 100, and you still went ahead and apply. So you see that it is quite tricky, right? And again, it is very expensive. Look at the cost of living. Look at the cost of tuition for one academic year. So my last thing I usually tell people is, first, do your research. Secondly, apply only for something that Canada says they are looking for. All of those things are on IRCC. Those courses I gave you, the STEM and the agriculture, the transportation, the engineering, French, and healthcare, right? Those are the things they need. And it is not stable, it is not stagnant that these things are going to last for long. Maybe in future, Canada will now say, oh, we need only health professionals. They will now say, oh, we need just maybe a thousand health professionals, a thousand STEM professionals, and a thousand French speakers. Before you know, they will now say, no, we are not accepting anybody again with post-graduation work permit. We have freeze post-graduation work permit because we do not have jobs. You have to be careful. You are not supposed to be scrambling in a place like that is very crowded. Once you start saying this, please do not invest your millions into it because you never can tell. I was speaking to a South African a few days ago, one-on-one, who booked a call with me. She is facing the same problem. Her own is that she applied for the course. Now, Canada says they do not need the course. Now, she cannot apply again for Canadian experience class. She needs to now follow the express entry route. Now, coming to the express entry route, her age is not enough. The points in the CRS calculator, they are not enough. Then the people, because now she is not in that category that Canada is looking for, right? So she cannot put in there. And in those categories, they have lower scores. Now, since she will have to join this way, they are now looking for 600 plus. And she cannot get it. The only way was for her to leave Canada. So you have to understand these things. You need to know all of this before you begin your application. Don't just follow Canada, Canada, Canada. What is even there? See, guys, immigration is not the way it used to be, right? Yeah. And again, our brothers and sisters who went before us, they are making the thing too complicated. I was telling some people that if you are coming to the Netherlands, in particular because I study here, do not come and drop school. Yes, it is expensive, but don't drop out of school because if you drop out of school, it is going to be a problem. If you are going to Canada, note that you are working on 35%, invest the money, and just know that it is not about using a bank statement, using lump sums. No, it is about showing consistent deposits and withdrawals because they want to be sure that the bank statement is your statement or that of your close relative and the money inside is readily available to you and accessible to you. Yes, this is Canada. And finally, I always tell people apply to state universities, apply to universities. Don't apply again to community college. Yeah, it's going to be very hard for you to get admission, but if your results are strong enough, you can get admission. So I wish you all the best. We do not know what it's going to look like in the next 5 years, but keep your head up and we keep fighting. We meet again in another one.